The Beatrice 6 case, such as Joanne and James Dean as well, one of the most interesting things about their particular false confession is that it's what Leo and Drisden would call persuaded false confession, in which they actually came to believe that their memory was faulty, that they were involved in the case. So it was a very different kind of animal. There's not a whole lot of research out there. I mean, Leo and Steve Drisden, who's at the New York Innocence Project, are really at the forefront of trying to study this issue of persuaded false confessions, where the confessant themselves come to believe that that their memory has abandoned them, that it's very possible that they did, in fact, commit the crime. And so again, that's one of the kind of interesting issues about the Beatrice 6. Now, the other confessions that we saw, such as with Tom Winslow, I don't believe that he ever really believed that he was there doing it. So that was a little bit different sort of idea of false confessions that we think of, which is that people falsely confess primarily to make the interrogation stop. Those can be very persuasive for, if you've been in a room for 36 hours, if you've been, in fact, there's a research article a couple of years ago that asked people, the number one reason that people falsely confessed, knowingly falsely confessed, was that they just wanted to go home. And they were led to believe that if they confessed, that they would be able to go home, and that their very innocence would clear it all up eventually. So they were likely to go ahead and confess, thinking, I don't know anything about the crime, I wasn't there, so eventually they're going to find out. I'm just going to give them what they want right now, so that later on we can try and make it right. In Joanne's case, however, we have this persuaded false confession, which was it's very difficult to prove, because you're actually manipulating the psyche of the person who's confessing. And it's much more hard to sort of put your finger on, and it's much more difficult for defense attorneys to work with, but it's much more lethal in terms of trying to go back and obtain an exoneration.